In late January 1959, 9 young people prepared for an adventure. They were students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute in the Soviet Union. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was just 23 years old, smart, serious, and brave. He had planned a hiking trip to the Ural Mountains, a frozen and dangerous region in the north. The group included 7 men and 2 women. All of them were experienced hikers. They had been on many difficult trips before, but this one was special. It would take them to Mount Otterton, a place few dared to go. They wanted to earn the highest level of hiking certification in the Soviet Union. Before leaving, they smiled for photos. They laughed, sang songs, and packed their skis. In their journals, they wrote about the cold, the beauty of the snow, and their excitement. They even made jokes, calling themselves the Dyatlov Group. On January 27th, they began the journey into the mountains. The wind was cold, but their spirits were high. 5 days later, they would pitch a tent on the side of a mountain called Kholat Syakhl. In the Mansi language, it means Mountain of the Dead. They didn't know that this mountain would be the last place they'd ever see. The Dyatlov group moved deeper into the Ural Mountains. They skied across frozen rivers and climbed steep hills covered in deep snow. The cold wind bit their faces, but they kept going, determined to reach their goal. They wrote in their journals each night. They joked about the harsh weather and described the beauty of the white, silent world around them. One of them, Zina, wrote, "It's very cold, but the mountains are magical." On January 31st, they reached a small forest at the edge of the mountain range. They left some supplies there in a storage tent, planning to pick them up on the way back. The next day, February 1st, they started climbing a slope of Kholat Syakhl. A snowstorm made it hard to see. They lost their path and decided to set up their tent on the side of the mountain, exposed to the strong winds and bitter cold. Most hikers would go back to the forest, where it was safer, but Igor Dyatlov wanted to stay on course, so they pitched the tent, shared a hot meal, and took a few last photos. In the distance, nothing moved. No trees, no animals, only snow, wind, and silence. That night, they wrote one last journal entry. It said, "We now know that snowmen exist. Was it a joke or a warning?" Days passed. The Dyatlov group was expected to return by February 12th, but there was no word from them. At first, no one was worried. Delays in mountain trips were common, but as the days went by, families grew anxious. On February 20th, a rescue team was finally sent into the mountains. What they found shocked them. On February 26th, searchers discovered the group's tent. It was still standing, but it had been slashed open from the inside. Snow had drifted inside. Their boots, clothes, and gear were still there, but the hikers were gone. Bare footprints, some only in socks, some barefoot, led away from the tent. The track stopped at the edge of a nearby forest. Under a pine tree, 2 bodies were found. They were wearing only underwear. It looked like they had tried to build a fire. The tree above them had broken branches, as if someone had climbed it. 3 more bodies were found halfway between the tree and the tent. They had died trying to return. But where were the last 4? The rescuers kept searching. The mountain was silent, hiding its secrets. Something had made those experienced hikers run into the night without shoes, coats, or flashlights. What could scare them so badly? They would flee into a deadly blizzard? 2 months later, in May, the remaining 4 bodies were found. They were deep in a snow-covered ravine, not far from the tree. These bodies were different. One woman was missing her tongue and eyes. Another had a crushed chest. A man had a broken skull, but there were no wounds on the outside, no cuts, no bruises that matched the force of their internal injuries. It was as if they had been hit by something powerful from the inside. Even stranger, their clothes had traces of radiation. Investigators were confused. Theories began to spread. Some said it was an avalanche, but the tent was still upright and the slope wasn't steep enough. Others suggested a military test. The Soviet Union often tested secret weapons in remote areas. Could the hikers have seen something they shouldn't have? One rescuer said the bodies had an orange tan and their hair had turned gray. Another said he saw strange lights in the sky above the mountain. The Soviet government quickly closed the case. The cause of death was written as a powerful unknown force. But the truth was buried, like the bodies, under snow and silence. The Dyatlov Pass mystery had begun. After the case was closed, many people still asked, what really happened? The avalanche theory was the official answer, but it didn't fit the evidence. There was no damage to the tent, and the hikers had enough time to cut it open and walk calmly away. A wild animal? Unlikely. There were no bite marks or claw wounds. Some believed the Soviet military was testing sonic weapons or parachute mines that night. Loud, low-frequency sound can cause panic, hallucinations, even physical pain. Could that explain why they fled the tent so suddenly? Others turned to stranger ideas. Some said the hikers were attacked by a yeti or snowman. After all, the last journal entry mentioned one. From now on, we know that snowmen exist. Was it a joke or a cry for help? One theory suggested UFOs. A group of hikers 50 kilometers away reported seeing orange lights in the sky on the same night. And what about the radiation? Some of the hikers had worked with radioactive materials. But why was it only on certain clothes? The area was closed for years. The Soviet Union didn't want people asking too many questions. Photos recovered from the hikers' cameras show normal, happy scenes. Until the last photo, it's dark, blurry, and unclear. But some believe it shows 2 glowing eyes watching from the trees. True or not, something about that night was never explained. Even today, experts debate the cause. Was it natural or something else? Decades later, the Dyatlov mystery still fascinated people around the world. In 2019, Russia reopened the investigation. Again, the answer was avalanche. But scientists and hikers disagreed. National Geographic tested the avalanche theory using simulations. It could explain some things, but not the strange injuries, the missing body parts, or the radiation. Locals, especially the native Mansi people, still avoid Kholat Shachel. They believe the mountain is cursed. Some say it is home to a spirit of the wind that takes those who don't show respect. One retired soldier came forward. He was part of the original rescue. He claimed he saw a large, dark figure near the edge of the forest that night, watching them. Many say he was just old and confused, but he never changed his story. Others report magnetic interference in the area. Compasses don't work. Electronics fail. The snow doesn't fall the same way there. Maybe the mountain holds a secret we're not meant to know. Or maybe the truth is too strange for us to understand. The last image from the hiker's camera shows a shadow in the snow. It's blurry. Some say it's nothing. Others see eyes, large, glowing in the dark. Is it a creature, a soldier, a trick of the light? We may never know. What we do know is this: 9 healthy, smart, experienced people died in one of the strangest ways ever recorded. They didn't fight. They didn't try to escape together. They just ran, barefoot into the night, into a storm, into the unknown. No footprints but their own, no signs of attack, no clear cause of death, just fear, cold, and silence. The Dyatlov Pass case remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Would you camp on the mountain of the dead? Did you enjoy this story? Let us know in the comments so we can continue. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more. Learn English through story, improve your vocabulary, and immerse yourself in thrilling narratives. See you in the next episode.